on Get Up, and we are 1 week to the day from the start of the NFL regular season. You will see the Chicago Bears kicking off the year without that man, Vic Fangio, who was so brilliant in putting together their defense last year. The Bears are a 3-point favorite against Green Bay with an over-under of 46 in that Thursday night opener. Fangio was hired as head coach of the Broncos after guiding the #1 scoring defense in the league last year as Chicago's defensive coordinator. And look at the number. They got after quarterbacks. They led the NFL with 136 disrupted dropbacks. That was the highest single season total by any team since 2013. And that probably went a long way towards not only their scoring defense, but the turnovers. They created so many turnovers. It was just such a good defense last year. And as we wait to see if Mitch Trubisky takes a big step forward on the offensive side, how concerned are we they take a step backwards on defense, losing their coordinator?
I think people are underestimating how important Vic Fangio is. You look at offensive coaches get hired all over the place. Vic Fangio, an older guy, defensive coach, gets hired to be the head coach of the Denver Broncos. He was fantastic. And many coordinators around the league view his defense is one of the most deceptive and toughest to figure out. So let's take a look at what we're going to see right here with what the Chicago Bears do. We're going to show two rushers coming off the bottom of the screen. That's going to indicate to the center, Eli Manning, to turn the rush down there that way to protection to pick him up. And so as we see them come here, now you have 4 guys blocking 2. And it's a matchup thing. Up top now, linebacker on Barkley and Khalil Mack one-on-one with the offensive tackle. That is a terrible matchup, Greeny. That looks like you. Forces a bad throw by Eli. Absolutely terrible. Look in the coverage. 3 guys underneath appear to be locked on the 3 receivers. Eddie Jackson looks to be deep. However, not at the snap. Linebacker blitzes. Eddie Jackson creeps down. Matthew Stafford looks a little confused. Appears to have free access to the tight end. He does not. You see Eddie Jackson undercut this for the game-winning interception into a touchdown. He dances into the end zone. Those things at the beginning of the play were not as they seemed. You're talking about Eli Manning and Matt Stafford, not 2 rookie quarterbacks. You should have saw what they did to Nathan Peterman last season. I couldn't even pull those because it wouldn't have been fair. I wanted to get some veteran guys who actually stood a chance.
Okay, I get it. That was the touchdown that won the Thanksgiving game,
yes,
wasn't it? Because they played that game without Trubisky. So they replaced Vic Fangio with another name that you know, Chuck Pagano. And Darius, you played under him in Indianapolis. So what do you expect that defense to look like this year?
I expect them to take another step. The defense have played with each other, and it's very important as players to get that continuity and know what the guy next to me is doing, how he plays, things he likes, things he doesn't like. I think Chuck will come right in, and with those playmakers that he has at his disposal now, it's crazy. He didn't have that in Indy. When he went to Indy and got the head coach's job, him and Grigson never built up that defense like he wanted to. He wants to send pressure, simulated pressure, and tight coverage behind it. And now he has the personnel more than ever to do it.
Yeah, I wonder, because we just showed you the stat. Fangio sent the house a lot. He brought a lot of pressure. Is Pagano's defensive philosophy similar?
Oh, absolutely. You saw when he was the coordinator in the Ravens. That's what he loved to do, send that pressure. And in 3-4, you kind of hide where that extra rusher is coming from, and that's what he loves to do. I mean, I can't wait to see him with these guys like Eddie Jackson, Khalil Mack. I mean, these are, studs, like playmakers who can change the game in an instant. So I can't wait to see these guys.
You surprised me yesterday, Bobby, when you did your NFC playoff predictions and you gave the NFC North to Minnesota, when the Chicago team that won the division last year and feels like it should get better. This departure, I think, was part of your thinking in that.
It's big to me, and as good as Chuck Pagano's been, like when you're a coordinator and you've been with a group of guys for a couple seasons, you have a great feel for what they're good at and how to create those matchups. It's not enough just to have great players. You saw right there what Vic Fangio was able to do, getting Khalil Mack one-on-one on the tackle. No offensive coordinator wants that, so he understands his guys, what they do well, and how to put them in the best positions to be able to utilize that unbelievable talent he has in Chicago.
To me, that division is fascinating. The health notwithstanding, I think a lot of people are forecasting a lot of improvement for Detroit in their second season under the new coach. Obviously, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a huge year in Green Bay in his new offense, and the Bears and Vikings are really good.
One more thing about Chuck. One thing about him is he doesn't have that ego that a lot of coaches have. He's going to come in that locker room and he's going to say, hey, Khalil, hey, Eddie, like, what do you guys like? What do you guys? He's not. A lot of coaches, they get that ego. They have their playbook and they say, this is what I do. You guys figure it out. he's going to come in there and ask those, what do you got, Mr. Mack? What do you like? What kind of matchups do you like? Let's mix some things up and get you after a quarterback.
I would call Khalil Mack Mr. Mack
Absolutely.
also, if you're being smart. Which team do you like in that division? Who's the best
I like
team?
the Bears. I'm taking the Bears for sure. You keep Trubisky healthy.
We'll teach this guy something about football as we go. All right, tonight on ESPN, after Utah and BYU at SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt, we have SVP's Week 1 surprise college football picks. Oregon quarterback Justin Herbert will join the show, and baseball's ever-changing wild card races. It's SportsCenter with SVP after college football tonight on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Lawrence with the rush coming, finds T. Higgins, touchdown. That kid cannot be 19 years old.
He looks like he's been there his whole life.
Truly, we don't carry anything over. It's always about what's next.
Shaka-laka, shaka-laka. Underwood ready. Let's go.
Expectations are to build a culture that's built on effort. And if we accomplish that every single day, we're going to be a pretty good football team.
Our program has won 15 in a row. This team ain't won one. You got to show up every year with something to prove.
Clemson, an undefeated national champ last year. A lot of people like them again this year. So Sneaky Hembo has the question, which was the last college football team to win consecutive national titles while going undefeated? Who wants to guess? Who's got a guess?
Can I say Nebraska?
You can say Nebraska, and you'd be right.
Wow.
That is the correct answer. Nebraska in 94 and 95 won the national championship unbeaten in both seasons. And I can tell you, the uncertainty of Bobby Carpenter during the break just goes to show that was a guess. And maybe sometimes you should just guess because you tend to talk yourself out of the right answer more often than you get it right. All right, well done. To the devastation of our friend Hembo. Meanwhile, we bring in our next guest, and he's EJ Manuel. He retired this year. He'll be on the ACC network this fall. He completed nearly 67% of his passes at Florida State, best in school history. Ranks among the top 5 Seminole quarterbacks all time in yards, in total offense, in completions, despite only being the full-time starter for 2 years. No surprise after that successful college career, he was drafted 16 overall by the Bills in the 2013 NFL draft. He was the first quarterback taken in that year's draft. And from the ACC Network, here's EJ Manuel. He's in Clemson for the big game tonight. It's good to have you, EJ. And let's start by talking about Trevor Lawrence. As you watch him through a quarterback's eyes, what is it do you think we're seeing?
Yeah, I think we're seeing a tremendous talent. I think this is somebody who will look back 10 years from now, once he's well into his NFL career, we'll be looking back on these moments of being able to watch and witness what he's doing at the college ranks. I think he has the uncanny ability to really just mold himself into any game. The situations of him being a freshman quarterback last year, to me, he looked like a fifth-year senior. Some of those moments playing in that national championship game, the ACC championship game, early in the season against Georgia Tech, just big opportunities where he was able to show who he was. And I think all the hype he has coming into this season is well-deserved. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how he responds his second year.
He's the best-known player on a team that is just completely stacked for Clemson. There's an overwhelming expectation that this team will make it back to the playoff. If it were not to happen, what could trip them up? What would be the Achilles heel for Clemson this year?
Sure. Well, despite any injuries, obviously we don't want to see any injuries to, their top players. I think that might make them stumble a little bit, but they have that trap game after they play Texas A&M, and it's on the road at Syracuse. We all know it's extremely hard to play on the road up there, in the Carrier Dome. I think it's the homecoming for Syracuse that weekend, so you can believe that all those fans are going to be ready to roll and excited to try to play the 12th man in that game against Clemson, and I think that's always been a game that's kind of given Clemson fits. Now, they also have to, still go out here and play well tonight, and then they also have to play against a very good Texas A&M team the following week, but I really think that third game of the season versus Syracuse on the road is going to be a tough one for them.
All right, so we'll have an eye on them beginning tonight. Meanwhile, I wanted to get one quick thought from you, if I could, on the big NFL story of the week, and that is the retirement of Andrew Luck at 29. You and he are the same age. As you sort of look at what he has been through from a quarterback standpoint and the amount of pressure that he obviously felt, I just wonder what your perspective was on him stepping away.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I met Andrew when we were juniors in high school, actually at the Elite 11 out in California years ago. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet and a genuine guy. I was a little shocked when I saw it, but at the same time I understood. Obviously him being a franchise quarterback and, really, someone who the city of Indianapolis was really relying on, but at the same time you have to choose your happiness and your mental health sometimes, and also your physical health. When you think about, Andrew's almost 30 years old, I'm sure when he's 45, he still wants to be able to walk upright and not have any, true long-lasting aches and pains. So, I'm sure it was a tough decision for him, and you could see that in the press conference, but at the end of the day, sometimes you have to choose, your health and, also choose that, make that decision for your family.
All right, again, it's Georgia Tech and Clemson tonight exclusively on ACC Network at 8 o'clock Eastern. We're looking forward to it. E.J. Manuel, thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
We also have a huge game, by the way, Saturday night. That one's on ABC, and you'll see the Heisman hopeful Justin Herbert and number 11 Oregon against number 16 Auburn. Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern on ABC, and you can see it live